We're here with the 2024 Women's Division National Champions, North Carolina Pleiades. This makes 4 in a row, the first team to ever, in any division in college, win 4 championships back to back to back to back. We're here with Allie Riley, Erica Birdsong, Dawn Colton, and Martha Plain from Pleiades. Y'all, tell me about how you're feeling right now.
I don't know. I'm just speechless, honestly. No words. Yeah, just really grateful. I think, we can talk about 4 in a row, but each one feels very different. Each iteration of the team is very different, and to do it with this group is so, so special. And yeah, it's always gratitude. That's always going to be my answer.
Yeah, I just feel incredibly proud and incredibly excited about this win. This is something that clearly we've been working for all season, and it's also been built on things that we've done in previous seasons. So many thanks to people who have been building Pleiades for many years.
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot of love for this team always. I know how hard we had to work to get here, and it's been so fun to be a part of it. I really love this team. I'm so grateful that we had this opportunity.
Speaking of how hard you worked to get here, this was not a cakewalk through the bracket for Pleiades for, I don't know, y'all tell me, for what feels like the first time in several years. It was really hard. Talk a little bit about either the Carleton game, the Colorado game. What's the team's mentality in these games that, frankly, in previous years haven't been close?
Yeah, I think that we were really lucky to be challenged early in the season this year at ECI and Northwest, and all of that led to a greater amount of resiliency that we were able to display this weekend. We'd been challenged and we'd been down, and we'd learned how to climb back out of that, and we had also experienced not winning. And we really wanted it. I had seen people make plays in the Colorado game that I've never seen them make before. So many people bid for the first time in their lives on defense during that game, and that was so cool. And that was just was so exciting. And I think that our season set us up well for that. An undefeated season is also great. So certainly not saying that we needed to lose, but I do think that we were able to use those lessons and learn and improve as a team.
Yeah, I think we came into those games, I guess, with the mentality of just, like Ali said, being grateful for every chance, every opportunity to get to play together, to get to compete with this team and this version of Pleiades, every second of every game. And no matter the score, I think we all were just hype to be able to work hard together and compete together and do whatever we had to do to make it to the next game together, because ultimately that's what we wanted, and we wanted it the most.
Yeah, yesterday was really hard. It was really hard and really emotional. I don't think I realized how much pressure was built up until the final point ended, and then there was this huge release of weight on my chest, and then this feeling of a whole lot of tears and relief. But I think that just goes to show how much each and every one of us really, really cares. Not just about winning, but about each other. That's what it comes down to. We want it really bad, and that was the message in the huddle. It was whichever team wants it most is going to win this game, and it's us. It's always us.
Yeah, just like what Ali said, I just think at the end of the day, we weren't done, and we wanted one more day with each other, and we wanted to show the world how much we loved each other in one more game. And I'm so grateful that we got to play this game and win it.
Dawn, you referenced it, and I think a couple of folks referenced it, but much was made of the streak, the undefeated streak that Pleiades had. I think I looked at the numbers last night, and I think it was 1,451 days. I might have mixed up a 1 and a 5 in there, but on the order of 1,400 days. That streak, I don't know. I'm curious, what is the narrative within the team about that streak and about the expectations around winning on Pleiades?
Jessie always says the streak doesn't matter. That's something that she has reiterated to us many, many times, that it's something that was cool that we had, and winning a championship is cooler. So I would prefer to lose in the regular season and win nationals, and I'd rather have a streak of winning nationals. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think, like Don said, like the streak is great. It's fun to win. We learn things from every game that we win, and we also learn things from games that we lose. And just like taking each opportunity in the regular season, like no matter the result, to make ourselves better and kind of build towards nationals and being the best team that we can be at nationals in the games that matter. And that's exactly what we did, streak or not. And yeah, that's all.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to say is, like, how cool is it that the women's division has grown to a level now where this weekend we saw so many upsets and comebacks and, like, so much parity across the season. I think just speaks to the way that everyone across the country has been really building their programs in the women's division. And, like, I love that we kind of set that precedent and now are, like, really getting challenged in this special way. So, yeah, I think that's an awesome result of this, too. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, as like a younger player, someone who kind of inherited the streak, I don't feel like it was necessarily ever emphasized by our team. I think our team is just like one game at a time. Let's go out there, let's win, let's try our best. And it's sports. People are going to lose, and we were completely prepared to lose. None of us expected to go undefeated for that long, I would, from my perspective. And yeah, like Ali said, and that we can really be challenged and really feel like we earned this one.
Don referenced it in the Colorado game, folks out there doing their first bids of their ultimate careers. And Ali, you referenced program building, but I would be remiss to not mention that this Pleiades team is not the same team that won those 2021, 2022, 2023 rings. A lot of those contributors have since gone. Don is the elder statesman on this team by now.
Hey, and Caroline.
and Caroline Spencer. But even looking back to last year, a ton of production from that Pleiades team. Alex Barnett, Ella Jungst, Grace Connerly, Sydney Rader, Alex Evans has departed. And so, I don't know. I think the narrative about this team is that it's this dynasty and that, you know, they've had this unbroken streak of these star players. But this was essentially a new team as far as personnel goes, in large part. Talk a little bit about the development of folks and how that team sort of has been shaped throughout the season.
Yeah, I think that people have done a really great job stepping up and not necessarily stepping into roles that were vacated, but stepping into better versions of themselves. I think that that's been really cool. Like, that's something that Jessie is so good at, is helping people figure out what their superpower is and what their, like, the best version of them can be, and getting them the tools to get there. So I think that that's just like, I don't know, an example of really great coaching is the way that people have been able to step up this year, and also a nod towards the amount of work that people have been putting in inside and outside of practice. And that goes back to the culture that's been created over the years, because that does stick around.
Yeah, like what Don said, I think like something we wanted to focus on this year was that we're not in the business of replacing people. Like, obviously, many contributors on this team have left over the years. Some are still here, but kind of building the team around the people that we have right now, and how can we get those people into the places that we need to be successful on their own as themselves, and not having them try and like replace people or think that they need to be something that they're not, and just like building it around the people that we have and making everyone the best version of themselves when they're on the field.
Yeah, it's a really special challenge that we had this year. And I think I have a unique perspective because I was abroad all fall. So I got to kind of come back after being out of the country for 7 months and see a bunch of true rookies from last year who grew into these like star confident players on the field. I mean, like Martha, you put in so much work last summer, got so good, and have continued to give so much of yourself to the team because of that buy-in. Love you. Katie Friedenberg starting on our O-line this year, so freaking good. Yeah, I mean, I could go on, and it was so special to be able to kind of come back and see that this culture builds people up to be themselves. It's awesome. I love this team.
Yeah, and I think a really huge part of that is role models. And I'm sitting next to 3 of my biggest role models right now. And this team is always going to, I mean, I was a true rookie, and Alex Barnett's a 6-year, and I knew she was a true rookie. I was like, oh my God, I have to go throw every single day. I want to be like that. I'm trying to be like X. And I think that the way that this team really inspires everyone to work really hard and really tells everyone that you can be great. If you put in the work, you can be great. I mean, we get to go out there, we get to practice with Dawn every day, we get to practice with one of the best players in the whole world every single day. Like, of course you're going to get better. And so I think that this team has a way of rebuilding because of some wonderful, wonderful role models.
That was really sweet. Transitioning a little bit to the actual game that you just played just a few minutes ago, those role models, wow, they really went for it. I would have to check the stat line, but I'm pretty sure that Dawn had 10 goals.
I got it. No, it's 6. I believe it is. You were involved in 10 scores, 6 goals, 4 assists, 3 Ds.
Wow. That's not a question. No, that's not the question. The question is, Dawn obviously has been a huge part of this Pleiades team for a long time, but those folks that have stepped into new roles, I just want you to talk about them a little bit. So the one on my mind first is Sarah Combs, who just had an unreal nationals. We're going to have to check the stat sheet for Sarah, but yeah, holy smokes.
Yeah, she's incredible. It's such a joy to play with her. Like, she's one of my favorite people to play with. She has such a range of throws, and she is so dynamic as a player. Like, she can really do anything that she's asked to do. And yeah, a lot of the goals or cool things that I got to do this weekend are because Combs is a fearless thrower who is able to do things that are really, really hard. And I think that that's often under-recognized. So I'm glad that we're shouting her out because really so incredible.
Yeah, it has been awesome, just amazing to play with Scomes. I think she, I think she brings just a fearlessness and joy to this team and the field when she's playing. She does things that I would never in a million years even think to try, and she just does it without fear, without hesitation, and that is so important. And it's so important to have someone who's willing to take risks like that, and it obviously paid off, and she's awesome.
I know we could probably go on and on about just Scomes, but I want to open the floor about other folks that stepped up this weekend. Allie, Erica, Kuski. Just pick someone and say something nice about them.
Yeah. Start with Kuski because she and I are kind of the two in the backfield for the O-line and have become best friends this season doing that job together. I love Kuski because she plays so freaking hard and competes so freaking hard every single day at practice, on her own, here at nationals, and performs. Kuski is someone who wants it really bad, and she gets it. She gets what she puts her mind to. Someone else I want to give a shout out to is my roommate Kaylin Louder, who never ever gets the credit that she deserves. There is nobody who can beat her. Yeah, man, she had a long year, was out for a long time, and was our secret weapon coming into nationals. And dang, it paid off. She had the hardest matchup every single game this tournament, and took it in stride. Guarding Jolie Krebs, Callahan winner, amazing on the first morning of nationals. Guarded Fina in the Carleton game, guarded Trout in our Oregon game. Hard matchups, great players, and Kaylin just shuts them down. So gotta give her the credit she deserves. She's a beast.
And she had some. I think she took. I mean, you all tell me what the matchup was for Stanford, for Kaylin. I'm trying to remember.
It depended who was on the field, but Kaylin's first matchup was Harper. But if Esther was on the field, which they were for the majority of the game, then it was Esther. So, again, high volume player. And Kaylin is just so incredible. She guards such a range of players. We can just stick her on the handler that wants to go every other, who has all of the throws. We can stick her on the initiating under that always wants the ball. Really anyone. She's just incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, talk about role models. I mean, back to Kuski. Kuski's someone who has put in work every single day since she made Pleiades, and now she's our center handler on our O-line. She's living out her dreams. And every person on this team knows how hard she worked for that. And I think we're all so proud of her. We're all so proud of Kaylin. It's been a really long journey for her. And the fact that she can come back from an injury and still be the fastest player on the field is absolutely incredible. And one last shout out, Ali said earlier, but Katie Friedenberg, I mean, she's a sophomore. She was a true rookie, and she's worked so hard. She goes to the gym every single day. She wants it so badly, and I think we all just have so much love for her.
Yeah. Sorry. Oh, okay. I'm going to really... Okay, you can talk about
I also was going to shout out Katie Fregenberg if no one did it before. She's someone who, like Martha said, is a sophomore, is a true rookie. We put her on our O-line this year, and she just like absolutely stepped up to the plate, and it was just amazing to watch. And she is also an incredible defender, and I just was like, my jaw was on the floor yesterday, like on Universe Point. To have her out there was like, it was just amazing to watch, and I'm so proud of her and all the work she's put in. She's awesome.
Okay, sorry. I want to do one. Sorry, Bridget. I'll be really fast. Okay. I want to shout out Martha and Dara. Pleiades has had a really, really tough time with injuries in the past year, and I think that they've done such a good job of continuing to contribute to the team constantly and always showing up and always giving all of their energy and like really modeling that for what other players should be doing. And I think that people can always look to them and like know what's needed in the moment because it's what they're doing. And I think that they're just a really big part of our team and a part of our culture and a part of our wins. So thank you.
Those were great. I meant to transition us to talking about the Stanford game, and then we just did not talk about that game at all. So that's what we're going to talk about now. Thinking about approaching this game, I don't know, what's the conversation from Jesse and the coaches? What were you all preparing for that they do? Just what is the team thinking and talking about before this game?
But you know how it is. We talk about like what their plays are. We talk about what their defensive sets are. They vary them up year from year, but they're pretty similar across the board, and just like making sure that we get our eyes on the film, both of the season, then also of what's coming out at nationals. Like, I think that we do an excellent job getting ready for games, and I think that it's no different in the bracket.
Yeah, I think something else we talked about specifically for this game was just the fact that like this tournament, like we played the most possible games. Like we earned the right to play more games than everyone in the division except for Stanford. And just like how big of a gift it was to get to have this last day with this team and just like soaking up every moment of that, playing for each other, being joyful, just like being light and enjoying the moment, because this was a moment that like not many people get to have, and just like being so grateful for that and taking that into this game and just giving it our all.
Yeah, I think echoing everything Erica said, that's what it comes down to, is just the joy and the gratitude to have another moment together. But yeah, back to Stanford. They are a great team, an amazing program. Like we played them in quarters of nationals last year, and that was our most competitive game of last nationals. They are really good. Zone is their bread and butter, and they're long and tall, and we are not always tall. But just coming in, knowing that we could throw as many passes as it took, we can throw and catch all day, and we'll punch it in. I think that was kind of the message, at least as a O-liner, that I was focusing on.
Our refrain throughout the season has been "This one's for us." It's a part of our cheers, and I think it speaks to, again, the legacy, the streak, a lot maybe of pressure on us with this game and with this nationals. But at the end of the day, we're doing it for each other. We're doing it because we love each other, and we wanted this iteration of Pleiades to have that title. And whether it was Stanford or whether it was someone else, we were always gonna play for us. And yeah.
I was talking to Grace behind the camera, so I don't have a good, fun transition. Usually I try to say something that, transitions us to the next question. I do not have that because we were chit-chatting back here. But what we did decide on is the next question, and that is, with all of the stuff going on this weekend, the rain delays, the crowd being largely hostile, having limited availability from you, Erica, at times, and from Teresa Yu, one of the team's stars and gets a lot of touches, someone who is just an excellent player, played that game essentially without her. Talk a little bit about the team's resilience, mental game, how do you get through tough moments like that?
I think that we really just believe in each other. Like, I know that Erica Birdsong is one of the best Frisbee players and will continue to be for a long time, but I also know that our team has, like, many wonderful players, and people will step up. Like, people stepped up so much this Nationals. Like, people have been stepping up all season, but specifically this weekend, like, it's just been incredible to watch. And seeing people rise into that is huge, and I think that they did that in part because the messaging is that you got this. Like, we believe in you, we don't doubt you.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to the depth of our team. Like, we just have people, like, obviously it sucks to not be at full capacity at Nationals. Like, this isn't what I wanted, this isn't what anyone wanted, but when it's not the right decision for me to be on the field, there are people who can just step into that role and be themselves and work for this team, and that's just something that is so awesome to have, and it's just amazing to be able to have that on a team. And I mean, yesterday Teresa did it all. When I wasn't able to be out on the field, Teresa was there every single point. She was working her ass off every single point, and it came down to she got us here today, and that was what it took. And then we had to play today without her, which is not what we wanted, but then yeah, so true. But then when it came down to it, it was someone else's turn to do that for her because she did it for us yesterday. And I think just having that mentality of trusting each other and being there for each other is just that's what it took.
Yeah, you kind of took the words out of my mouth, but I think we're a team that does it for each other. And when injuries happen, that's part of sports. It's just an extra reason to do it for that person, to do it for each other. Yeah.
All right, last question. When did you know it was over?
At the end. Liam Strosbo stepped into the coaching staff this year and walked out every point with the O-line, and his kind of key message to us was just this moment and the one right in front of us. This moment and the one right in front of us. It's not over until we've caught that last goal. You can't get ahead of ourselves. I mean, we saw that yesterday, right? Colorado thought they had it. They didn't have it. You gotta get to the end.
Yeah, kind of what Ali said. I think just it's not over till it's over. We had to score 15 points, and I think we were just being grateful, being joyful, and taking every moment that we could with this team. And just every time you stepped on the field, it was just one more point, one more pass, one more score, and just as long as it took, that's what it was going to take.
Yeah, I knew it was over when we won.
Yeah, Jess Wu was on the sideline with me. She's one of our players who unfortunately is leaving us, and she was at one point in the game near the end, she was I'm not ready for it to be over. I was me neither. And I was let's end it with a win. And she was I want it to be a longer win. So yeah, we're just grateful for every moment with this team. Every moment is special, and it's not over until we end it.
Let's go ahead and end it on that. Awesome. Congrats to you four. Congrats to Pleiades. What a game. Thanks for being here. I'm here with Davy Weir, Esther Philippek, and Macy Volbrechts, members of the 2024 silver medalist teams in the women's division. Thanks, y'all, for being here.
Thank you.
Let's start out with just a general question about how you're feeling about how the season went for Superfly.
I think we're incredibly proud of this season. If we just look at today, right now, we're still feeling a bit of the disappointment of this game. But if we allow ourselves to take a step back and really zoom out, incredibly proud of the season. We had really high expectations and goals from the very beginning, and we knew that those earlier season results where we had some losses was all part of being able to bounce back, being able to grow our whole roster. And so I think looking back, we did grow our whole roster, and we were able to create this team that could make it really far in the bracket and defy a lot of expectations, besides our own maybe. But yeah, super proud of the season and really proud of how we played this weekend and how we were able to control our energy in general. And lots of rookies stepping up, and also just seeing people play at their highest level they've ever played. And that's kind of all you can ask for in the culmination of the season, I think. Anything to add from either of you? No? Okay.
Talking a little bit about that regular season, this team is a program that people know about, a perennial contender, but one that often, and I don't know, you can tell me what this mentality is like, but seems to take the regular season as a huge learning opportunity, first and foremost. Talk a little bit about just what the team was feeling during that regular season, what your goals were going into some games against those, top 6 teams, your Oregons. What was the mentality there?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Sure. Just talk a little bit about your regular season. How does Superfly approach the regular season in general?
Yeah, I think normally we treat our regular season as like Boots was saying, a huge opportunity to grow the whole roster. And I think this year was a little bit different in the sense that, we had a lot of returners coming back, but at the same time, we also had a lot of people with injuries, so it wasn't always consistent on, who's able to play at what game. And that, shifted the dynamic more, but I think something that came out of that was that it really got the rookies to step up and come into the game in big moments, especially in the early season tournaments. So I think we weren't all able to play on the field at the same time, but the fact that we were able to grow our roster was huge, because that's how we treat our regular season anyways. It's a huge growth opportunity. We might not win every single tournament, but at every single tournament, every single game, there's something we can take away from it and learn and grow and get better as the time goes on. And
just going off of what Neil was saying and kind of answering your question about the Oregons and playing the top 6s in the earlier parts of the season. We had a couple of really tough universe losses against Oregon, for instance. Those stung at the time, but they also gave us a chip on our shoulder, and it allowed us to feel learn about what it's like to play in those really tight games and how we need to make decisions differently, I think especially on offense when we're playing against someone that, is going to play a really tight game with us. And I think we even showed that by the postseason, where we were playing this really tight upwind downwind game with Santa Barbara in our final for the region. And, we didn't have to win that game to go to nationals, but we wanted to win that game, and we wanted to show that we could sort of clutch up and score on universe, and we did. And so I think even there we were showing that we had learned from those moments in the earlier season. And so we approached those playing those top 6 teams at the beginning of the season we are playing to win this game, but we're also going to play a lot of our roster, so they learn how to win against these opponents and what it's like to match up against them.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of clutching up, you all really clutched up in your Vermont game when you were down 8-4 at half. Can you talk about the mentality and the message at halftime in that game and what adjustments you made?
So we were down by kind of a lot, and I think a lot of us were starting to doubt ourselves. But we came together and made that decision that we had everything to gain and nothing to lose. And all of us came together, and we've got this horse mentality on our team, where we all neigh, and you might have seen it. And we went ahead, and I think like it really came from each and every one of us, and it really started off with our coaches. And then it just expanded and built, and we were struggling with, the Vermont men's team cheering against us, and some of those cheers are a little hard to hear at times, and we were able to go ahead and find like Soul and a lot of other people and supporters, and think about that horse mentality that we all have, and realize that we had nothing to lose, but absolutely everything to gain. And I think our team really relies on that defense to bring forward, what we want and what we have, and we really narrowed down on that in that game and brought it forward.
Yeah, and to add to that, like something our team was talking about is there's this like, 3-word quote that's called "trust is essential," and I think like that really came in clutch for this game, because like trusting your teammates and like knowing that we can rely on each other to do what we need to on the field like really helped us into like getting in the mindset of like, okay, we can come back from this. Like we were down 8-4 and we all decided collectively like it's like, okay, well, we're down, but that doesn't mean the game is over. Like we're going to come back and fight for the win, which we did. And yeah, super proud of our team for that.
Yeah, and just one more thing to add about what switched that mentality from the coaches, like Mantis was talking about, is one of our coaches, Jenny, who is a Superfly alum, talked about a game her freshman year where they were down 12-1 and came back to win it 15-12. And so I think when we heard that, we sort of like, we were like, okay, we need to raise the bar. We need to raise the expectations for ourselves. Like, we are absolutely in this game, right? No excuses. And so I think just like, sometimes just like hearing what Superflies before us have done, and who like Robin's been coaching for over 20 years, like the teams that she's coached to like really crazy phenomenal outcomes, it's inspiring. And so I think the coaches really help to instill confidence in ourselves in those moments.
That's a great transition to talking about the program at large. I think it would not be exaggeration to say that Stanford is the most decorated and one of the most like historic programs in the women's division. Just talk a little bit about how that manifests either on the field, off the field, with your coaching staff, with your own expectations of yourselves. What is it like to play for Stanford Superfly?
Yeah, I think that really comes down to our coaches. We were just talking about how Robin literally drives 2 hours each way to every single practice from Marin for 20 years. And so when you have that kind of dedication, there is no question our dedication. If Robin's doing that, Dozer's doing that, every person on our team is showing up to every single practice, putting everything in. It's really, sometimes it feels like another class for us. We finish the day. We're a club sport. Sometimes our practices go from 9 to 11 at night, and then we'll have another one from like 7 to 9 in the morning. And so we really just show up and just go ahead and build into that. And that really originates from that trust in our coaches, and that played out on the field.
Yeah, just to add to that, like we have all our practices, we have our sprint practice, and outside there's like lifting and all these other things, and it's like the fact that like the coaches know that if we do this, then we can all become great. Like there's this like collective agreement that we will all put in the time and effort to get better at Frisbee so that we can come to where we did today. Like I think it's all like it comes from them and like believing in us that we can do great, and because of that we're able to believe in ourselves and work towards like getting better and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have that much to add from what you've both already said, but yeah, basically seeing the commitment that our coaches have to the program and hearing from them, what they've been able to accomplish by all being really bought in and all committing to, I don't know, the intensity and grit and all the fire that we bring as Superfly players. I think that's really inspiring to all of us. And so, yeah, they're so much a part of driving us to have these high expectations and be able to perform at a really high level by the end of the season. I feel like we have so much trust in the way that they coach us throughout the season, sort of being more in growth mode at the beginning and then getting more into performance mode by this time of the season is how they think about it and talk about it to us.
I want to talk a little bit about personnel. This is a really deep team, a really skilled team. But I like to give folks the opportunity to shout out people on the team who had incredible performances all weekend. I think all three of you fit in that bucket. So talk a little bit about, especially, let's start with Macy. So get that microphone out of your hand. You two need to talk about Macy now. Leaving Superfly this year, what has she meant to this team? And while you're doing that, I'm going to look up her stats for this tournament so that I can say something bananas when you all are done.
Oh, am I supposed to talk?
I think so.
What does Macy mean to this team?
Oh, yeah. No, Macy/Boots, she means a whole lot. I guess we were on Superfly the same year, 3 years ago. And, yeah, at that time, she was like a grad student, I guess you still are. Anyways, we have this thing we call the Mind on our team after this game called the Mind. And it's where we feel like we have a connection on the field. And I feel like from the first year I played with Boots, we had the Mind. I would make some random throw, and I would just know she would catch it. I always had this trust that no matter where I threw it, Boots will always be there to catch my throws. And, yeah, so that started from there. But, Boots, after that year, she was a captain and, captain this year too. And now I get to be a captain with her. And it's been amazing the way she would lead the team and, all the care and effort she puts into everything for the team, from, organizing all the things that are, outside what everyone else can see with, the tournaments and all that. And just, the leadership she brings to the field is incredible. And, it's O-line handler, constantly, always being, the rock, I feel for our team. Always there, reliable and, always someone you can count on. And not only on offense, but even on, defense, she's, incredible player who can, get all the defensive grabs. And, I just, watch her get all these defensive blocks. And I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. And she just goes out of nowhere. Arm goes, just snatches the disc out of the air, and I'm like, yep, that's Boots. It's always there. But, yeah.
I'll jump in here really quick just to add a little flavor that Boots had 19 Ds, 18 maybe, on the tournament.
I mean, there's no question about that. As a cup player, when somebody throws up a huck, you're like, that is a win. Because you know that Boots is going to be back there in the deep space. I mean, that one in the end zone over there where Boots just came out of literally nowhere, snatched it, and then proceeded to have that confidence in offense. And, I mean, you were absolutely leading us in the zone offense just with those really confident swings, and it was super windy. And, I mean, you just set the tone for this team in so many ways, and it's such a pleasure to play with you.
Sets the tone is definitely a good way to describe it. Macy, you were 1-1-4 during the final stat line, 1 goal, 1 assist, 4 Ds. I want to move us a little bit to talking about that final game. Just going into that game, coming off of a couple huge upsets, talked about that Vermont game. What's the mentality and the preparation going into this final?
Yeah, so I think I'm just thinking back on the last 24 hours, right? So we beat Vermont on Universe, and we definitely took a moment or a few hours to celebrate, I feel like, and just sort of bask in that moment of we had accomplished a really big goal and beaten an opponent who 2 seasons ago ended our season. And so there was a lot of feeling behind that game. And so, after the semis, after dinner and sort of celebrating and being together and just being super happy, we started thinking about today. So we had a team meeting, and the coaches had watched film, of course. And so we talked about, what are we going to do on zone offense? How are we going to move the disc? And yeah, we were going to focus a lot on basically swinging on offense to sort of get the cup behind and then start pushing through, which I think did work effectively for us today. And yeah, we also talked about some tweaks that we could make on offense that we noticed we were struggling with in the Vermont game. So definitely like chalk talk was had. But we also talked about just, it's going to be a different feeling in finals. We're going to be at this stadium. We already were feeling some of that pressure in the semis with the sideline, like Davey was talking about. But just talking about like we encouraged everybody yesterday to really think about what that might feel like and kind of try to process it in advance so that when we got here today, we could just focus on playing a Frisbee game like we were at Johnson Turf, which is where we practice, and that it was just another moment for us to all play together. So, I don't know. That was the main preparation, and this morning was just a normal warm-up. We wanted to keep everything like as we did before. And then words from the coaches, of course, before to like instill that last bit of confidence in us. So, yeah. Anything to add? Game prep? Yeah.
And obviously, as far as the game goes, not the result you all wanted, but an incredible weekend overall. How does it feel to have taken this Stanford team from the 6th seed all the way to the national final?
Well, I guess we were the 6th seed, but I feel like in our minds we are the 1 seed. I feel like that's the mentality we have going into it because, like, okay, we're ranked 6th, but if we're thinking like, oh, we're the 6th best team, like that's not really going to help us. And I think like really just thinking like we deserve to be in finals and we can fight and get there was really what like helped push us and like believing in each other and being like we can make it there, which was I
think we are such a mentally focused team in that every single point we're like, oh, how are we going to fix the stat sheet? How are we going to do this and that and this and that? And coming into this finals and honestly yesterday as well, our coaching team is really more focused on the mental side of things. Like we can do this and that full belief. And I think we all believe so strongly in our coaches and everyone on our team that we were like, yes, we can do it. And even towards the very, very end of this last game, each and every one of us believed that we could still pull through and pull that. And I think to be able to play on a team like this and have that mentality till the very end is like what makes me so proud to be a part of it.
I think that's a great place to end it. Davey Weir, Esther Philippak, Macy Philbreck, thanks very much. Congrats.